Back real quick. Okay, so May 1st, 2025. Today, our topic is how to connect with the right people, right being the key word on Alignable. Nail down your ideal customers and referral partners. And I put there Alignable's kind of new tagline that we're using is network smarter. And all of this that you're going to learn today is really going to not only just help you network smarter, but it's going to help your business and marketing be smarter. Trust me on that. So those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Sue Brook. I've been an entrepreneur for most of my life. My first business was a ballroom dance studio back when I was about 22 or 23 years old after I got out of college to be an elementary school teacher. My claim to fame, however, is years later, I started a tutoring business. I actually went back to college to be a teacher. And then I decided to open a tutoring business because I had worked for a big, huge tutoring franchise, and I realized it was a business. And hey, I could start my own business. Well, here's what happened. So I'm going to be sharing a couple of stories from that experience. But I started out as a tutoring business, and then it later ended up with an after-school program and a private school and the whole nine yards, a big giant learning center. And when I got the messaging right for my marketing, everything went crazy. And that's what makes and what I'm going to teach today is going to help you understand how you can do that for your business. So what I'm going to cover today is this: who your ideal customer really is. That's really what the whole focus of the event is going to be. Who your ideal referral partners are. I'm going to touch on that, but you have to know who your customer is first before you know who your referral partners are, and why all of this is key to your success on Alignable, which is what I'm going to start with. So I'm sure you've all heard of Alignable 360, which is the engine that powers Alignable. Basically, it's this: it reveals who in your network matches your ideal customers and referral partners, and then who they know that match your ideal customers and referral partners. That's really the whole thing about Alignable 360. Every single person you meet has a network of people that could include, and most likely, I would say 99.9%, percentage points that they're actually going to know your ideal customers, referral partners, and that they're close enough to be able to refer them to you. So, your My Network page, and I'm just going to touch on this Alignable thing here. Your My Network page, powered by Alignable 360, actually prioritizes your referral partners and your ideal customers. So on this network page here that you see, that in the middle column, it tells you who in your network is an ideal customer referral partner or matches up with that from your profile, where I'm going to show you that too, and who they know who matches up. So this is how powerful Alignable is. So we're going to get this right so this all works for you. So it all starts with your profile, and this is exactly this. This is the only part of the profile we're going to talk about today: ideal customer, and who you're going to partner with, your ideal referral partner. This is the most important part of your profile. And as you can see with the arrows, whatever you put here, when you choose those little blue tags, that's what tells Alignable, so it propagates here in the middle. So Alignable can go out and find those people. So it looks like this. And so we're going to be digging into each one of these, but most like the first one is obviously, this is what the whole thing's going to be today, is really determine who your ideal, most profitable, and you'll hear me say that a few times, customer is, and then who has your ideal customer, who your ideal referral partners are. So just a real quick example. I like using Ligaya Kelly's example. Ligaya, I actually met her on Alignable after I had my tutoring business in the same city where she is, but I didn't even know her when I was there. But she owns a pet boarding facility. So this is a screenshot from her profile. So she has two very different customers. The first one is an obvious one for a pet boarding facility, is anyone that owns a pet that needs a place to bring them when they're on vacation or emergency or something, or if they're working. But the one that was really helped her on Alignable was this: she wanted to find people in the pet industry or who are new to the pet industry who she can consult with. So she loves sharing her successes, and she has a consulting part of her business to help those people. So she chooses kennel owners and best pet business startups and those types of businesses so that she can, they're good customers for her for her consulting company. And then who she likes to partner with, she knows that the absolute best referral partner for her is a veterinarian, for example, because all of their customers own a pet, all of them. And so she knows that those are her best referral partners. So who are our customers? Like you said, she goes down there and Alignable can't help her find people with pets. They don't ask us if we're like Damien and he owns a cat. Alignable doesn't ask us that kind of thing. But Alignable does know people who are on Alignable who are actually in the pet industry. Okay. And we're going to dig into this. I'm coming back to it. Ideal referral partner. I want to kind of tell you that in my opinion, on Alignable, you're going to meet two kinds of referral partners. One is people that you meet in a group like this or in a Smart Connect or a mastermind or whatever, people that you're meeting and you're building relationships with, and you get to know them. And then when they're out networking and they're at a Smart Connect and they're meeting people and they meet someone and they go, oh, I know Dan is looking for someone just like you. You guys need to meet, and you refer each other. That's one kind of referral partner, somebody who's just going to tell people about you when they meet the right people. But the big one is, like I was saying about the veterinarian, people who have businesses that actually serve your exact same ideal customer, but aren't a direct competitor, like Gaya's business, Bouquet Canyon Kennels, and a veterinarian. They're the perfect referral partners because their customers all own pets, and they ask for referrals for each other all the time. All right, so let's dig into this. Here's the thing. Can you very clearly, in like one sentence or maybe two, describe your ideal customers to anyone you meet? Anyone. If you're at a networking event and someone asks you, and I ask people this all the time, and it's funny what they say to me, but say, who is your most profitable ideal customer? Who can I help you find? Okay, because if you can't describe that, how on earth are you going to expect your referral partners to introduce you to the right people? They're not going to know who to introduce you to. Here's something that people do all the time. They'll say, everybody's my customer. Anybody with skin is my customer. Well, I'm in kind of a poor area here in Southern California, and there's a lot of homeless people here. It's very sad. I was driving down the street and I've been seeing a lot of homeless people in certain areas of this community. I will tell you that if you're selling a very expensive skin cream, that's probably not your ideal customer. They most likely do not have the money to pay for it. So you have to put in your head who's the most profitable one. And here's another mistake people make. People say, it's your ideal customer is not your target market. My mentor, John, who I will reference a lot because I learned a lot from him, said, target markets don't have credit cards. They don't have checks. They can't pay you. People pay you. And again, it's not everybody. And the thing is, if your marketing messages are for everybody, if you're marketing to everyone, you're marketing to no one, because it's just their message is going to go right over their heads. All right. Now, and let me give you this example. So I have this friend that she became a friend. She was super shy. Okay. I'm an introvert, but this girl was really introverted. And she went to school to be a health coach. So she's a health coach. And we went to some networking events together. And we were at this women's networking event, and everybody went around. It was like a big circle, and everybody went around the room and do the 30-second elevator pitches. And when we were done, people were networking, and her name was Janet. And she came up to me and she said, Sue, I don't know what I did wrong. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, there was another lady sitting next to me who's also a health coach. And we did our, look at this. Everybody wants to talk to her, but nobody wants to talk to me. What the heck did I do wrong? And I said, well, what did you say when you stood up? She said, "Hi, my name is Janet. I'm a health coach." I said, "What did that other lady say?" She stood up and said, "Hi, my name is Pat. I'm a health coach. I specialize in helping overweight women with knee problems." And everyone in the room, including me, was like, "I got to talk to you because I know at least 4 people who have they're overweight, they have knee problems, they're just about ready to have knee surgery. They are in pain. I have got to talk to her because she can help them." All right. How many of you know someone who's overweight with knee problems? You probably know somebody. Do you see the difference? That's the difference. You have to be able to say instantly in that amount of time who that ideal customer is, where everybody lined up to talk to her. Now, you might be saying to yourself, "Well, Sue, I have more than one ideal customer." Well, yeah, you absolutely probably do. You might have multiple, we call them avatars. So if ideal avatar, I used to call this event that, is a marketing term that an avatar represents one person, a particular person. Okay. So um, if you don't talk to somebody specifically, they're not going to listen to you. So you have to have that one person that you can create your marketing messages to talk to them. So let's say all these people on the screen are your ideal, they all fit your ideal customers. But look, just looking at the people, you can tell they're all different. They're different ages, they're different races, they're different sexes, they're different. They most likely, some might have kids, some might be single. They're some like this, some don't like that. They're all different. So what you have to do is figure out which one you want to focus on first. Okay, so you're going to pick one. The thing is, you got to pick which one. The most profitable one. That's what I say. Pick your most profitable one, the one that's going to make the most profit in your business. That one customer that you know, if you could just duplicate them over and over and over, that would really grow your business. Okay. So let's start with one. Oh, let me give you another little, I like this story. I wish I made it up, but my friend John did, my mentor did. So think about this. Let's say 3 of these people are standing in front of you, and I'll answer questions shortly, Damien, if you don't mind waiting for till the end. So imagine this. Imagine I even have a bottle of water sitting right here. Imagine you're selling this bottle of water, and it's a special bottle of water, and it costs $20. Okay. And you have 3 people standing in front of you that are potential customers for you, right? So let's look at each one of these customers. Let's just pretend that the first one is someone that just drinks a lot of water. She's very green. She's very concerned about the environment, and everything she does is very healthy and green. But if you said to her, if you said, "Hey, you really should buy this water. It's $20 a bottle." I don't know what the percentage of whether she's going to buy it or not would be, but it's probably going to be pretty low. A, because it's probably a plastic bottle and she probably won't buy it. So not really a great one. Let's say the middle guy is a workout guy. He's like he's a exercise. He's trying to win a race. Maybe he's going to be in this marathon, and he needs this water that I have that can really help with his endurance. It's a special water that could help him win that marathon. Now, what's the percentage of whether or not he would buy the water for $20? Well, maybe 50-50. He might buy it only when he is training for the marathon, but otherwise he's probably not going to buy it. So it's a maybe, right? That he would buy this bottle for $20. Now let's look at the third guy. He's very sick. He could be dying. This water could save his life, or it could at least leave him on this earth for a few more weeks or months or years. You just tell me one thing. If this water could do that for him, how many pallets of water is he going to buy? He isn't going to care one bit how much this costs. Are you seeing the difference? I know it's a very extreme example, but think about that with your customers. Who is not going to care how much it costs? I'm going to give you some other ideas, things that happened with me that people just went, "How much do I write the check for?" They didn't even care. But think about that with your business. Okay. How do you get to know who your ideal most profitable customer is? Well, I'll tell you. It's based on research not your own opinion and perception. This is really important. This was, and I say this because it was the biggest mistake I made when I was starting to work with my coach, that about on who was my ideal customer is. And the other thing that I'm going to share with you is it might not be who you think it is either. So my story was when I sold my tutoring business. So I don't know if you guys have heard my story before, but I had this big tutoring business. I had 2 locations. I was a busy business owner. And in 2015, I sold my business. In 2017, I found out I had a sister on Ancestry. I moved to a whole new community where she lives in Northern California. And I wanted to start this new business. And right before I moved there, I started working with my friend John, and who is my mentor that keep talking about. And he said, Sue, what are you doing with your business? I said, I want to help people start businesses. I've done it many times. I'm really good at it. I want to be somebody who helps people start a business. And he said, well, who's your most profitable ideal customer? And I said, oh, I know who it is. He goes, did you do the research? I said, no, I know who it is. And because I owned a tutoring business, I knew a lot of women that were like over 40 or some age around there, 40 to 50, and their kids went off to college. Maybe they were the stay-at-home mom, and maybe they went through a divorce, so they're alone and they wanted to start a business. I'm like, that's it. That's the biggest market of people that want to start a business. And he goes, well, just humor me and do the research I'm going to tell you to do. And I'm just going to tell you, the research back before ChatGPT was exhausting. It was horrible. It took me like a month. I would cry every day because it was so much work. Now we have ChatGPT that in seconds you could figure it out. But here's what happened. I learned that my most profitable customer was not a woman over 40. It was more like a man who was young, like around 20. I don't remember exactly the ones, 24 to 29 or something, who'd gone to college to be like a rocket scientist or something. And then they realized they could make more money starting their own business. I'm not kidding. I had an event, a business event. I used to do these 3-day seminars, and I would get a lot of people coming to that event that fit that market because they wanted to learn how to start a business. So you've got to really think about it. Now, here's something else. Here's another one that's probably good. I don't know if there's any realtors in here, but here's another example of may not be who you think it is, or you're marketing to the wrong person. So my dad got dementia, okay? And he was living in a small town in the middle of Nebraska. I was in California. My younger sister was in Phoenix. And we had to go back and sell my dad's house because we had to move him into a memory care place. And so we had to sell his house. Well, you can imagine that every realtor came out of the woodwork and they all wanted to sell my dad's house. And so they were everybody, we were inundated with realtors who wanted to sell his house because there's so many. But there was only one option for us. And that was one realtor who all of their marketing, everything they did, their website was tailored to, I help the children of seniors sell their parents' house. Do you see? It was like, we weren't going to pick any other realtor. There was only one that marketed that way. So how can you do that for your business? How can you be the person that targets one specific audience? The riches are in the niches, I'm telling you. All right. How do you get to know your ideal customer? Here's some other ideas. If you have an ideal customer already, interview them to learn more. When I was starting how to start a business, my very first customer was a lady who was a grief recovery specialist, and her sister her son had drowned, and the two of them got together and they started this grief recovery business, or they wanted to. So they were just starting, and oh my gosh, she was the best. She bought my biggest program. She did everything. I absolutely loved working with her. Is another reason why that's not just who it is, the niche of the person, but it's if you like working with them too, because it's an ideal customer, could be perfect, except you don't like working with them. But this woman I loved working with. She was perfect. So what I would do all the time, every time I was working on my marketing or I was going to do a new program, I would take her to lunch and I'd ask her and I'd say, is this something that sounds like it would work? And I just became friends with her. And she became a mentor of mine so I could find more people like her. So that's a really good way to do that. Spy on your successful competitors, successful being the key word. Don't spy on your unsuccessful ones, but pick the competitors that you have that actually serve the same client that are, I don't believe in competitors, but there are other businesses that do what you do. Go spy on them. That's what I did when I had a tutoring business. I used to my first business was tutoring business, or when I started the tutoring educational learning centers that I had. It started out as tutoring, and all of a sudden, because of some things that happened, I had to start an after school program where we'd have to pick kids up from school and all that. And I didn't know anything about after school programs at all. And so what I did is I did the research and I went and found every really successful, the most successful after school programs. And I researched everything. I looked at their marketing. I looked at their websites. I went and visited them. I even went outside of my community and did tours and pretended I was looking for one. And I would find the ones that were really successful, and then I just copied them, copied a lot of what they did, and then just made mine better. And that was probably the number one reason why my business got to be so successful, is because I did that first. The other thing is, like I was saying before, there's a lot of online research you can do. There's Google, there's paid tools you can pay for, and ChatGPT, honestly, if you know the right prompts and how to ask it properly, how to do everything, to put the right information into ChatGPT in a split second, it can actually help you discover who your ideal most profitable customers are and even craft marketing messages. So that's pretty a big one too. I just went on Google and I put in ideal client or ideal avatar profile, I don't know, sheets or whatever. There's tons of them, thousands of them out there. You want to really do this. You want to create a profile for your most profitable ideal customers so that you know every single thing about them. If you see this sheet, it's like you want to know everything about that person. You want to know what gets them up in the morning. If someone's writing on the screen, if you can not do that. Um, um, so you want to know what gets them up in the morning, what makes them fall asleep at night, what books do they read, what do their lives look like, what do they really care about, what are their biggest challenges, okay? And so that you can craft the right marketing messages. So why is all this important? All of this is important because when you know this so well, you can create marketing messages that will actually attract those most profitable customers to you. All of your marketing messages could be so simple. They're so much easier to create when you know who you're speaking to. And you can create those marketing messages for each one, create personalized experiences, in other words, for each one of your ideal customers. Okay. Now, the next slide, I'm going to show you what happened with my after school program. So when I did this after school program, what I learned in all my research is all these daycare after school programs, they would pick the kids up from school and they would just babysit them basically until their parents got home. And I knew that because I had a tutoring business. So parents, and I lived outside of Los Angeles. So these parents lived in our little kind of bedroom community of that was outside of LA, and they would have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, or get up early. They would have to leave town by 6 a.m. to beat all the traffic and go to work. So they would have to drop their kid off at a daycare, and then the daycare would take them to school and then pick them up after school. And then the parents would drive all this 2 hours or more home from work in traffic and all that and have to pick their kid up. And then I had a tutoring business that I had to tutor late because they needed help with homework. I knew this because I would get phone calls up the yin yang of parents like crying because they couldn't help their kid with the homework. They didn't know how to do it. So they'd pick their kid up from daycare, bring them to me for another hour. So by the time they got home, it was like 8 o'clock at night or some ridiculous time, and they had no time for their family. So I created an after school program where we would pick up the kids from school, bring them back, get all their homework done, take them to their martial arts or dance class or whatever. And when the parents got done driving all the way back home, they could pick their kid up and they were free. They could just go have family time. And this was my marketing messages. No more homework headaches. Get your family time back. Did you notice something? I didn't market tutoring. I didn't market that I was a tutoring or an after school program. It says nothing about that. They weren't buying tutoring. They didn't want to buy tutoring or an after school program. They wanted their family time. And this is one example of where they went, what do I write the check for? I don't care. And I went from being the cheapest tutoring program in town because I wanted to start my business. I wanted to help all the people that couldn't afford the expensive tutoring places to the highest price, most expensive after school and tutoring educational learning center. And do you know what? I kept thinking people would leave and they never left. They stayed with me forever because of my marketing, because of how I took care of my clients, which is another thing I'm going to be talking about in a couple of weeks. But think about your marketing message. What is going to speak to them that's going to make them say, what do I write the check for? Okay. Now I'm going to give you this is a good story. This is another example of what happens when you get it right. Okay. This is my friend John's story, but it's so good. I can't help but tell it. So there was a guy, he had a client. So my friend John used to do SEO. So meaning he would take clients on and they'd pay him a whole lot of money to get marketing messages so they'd show up at the top of Google. Okay. So he had this client and his business was selling things like water sport stuff like fins, masks, snorkels, inner tubes, things like that. So what the guy would do, his profitable customer at that time were big resorts that had, like the little lazy rivers and all that. And so he would sell all big bunches of these water sport toys and stuff like that to these big resorts. That's what his business was at that time. So John, every year he would bring him back and I asked him, I said, who's your most profitable customer? Like, what's the most profitable thing you sell? And he goes, water slides. And John goes, water slides? I didn't know you could do water slides. And he goes, yeah, I want to sell more water slides and we can, put them up for people and stuff. And he said, okay. So he changed all his entire marketing message for water slides. And the next weekend, like 1 or 2 weeks, it was like really quickly, when he got that marketing message about water slides, he got a phone call and he answered it. And the girl on the other end said, hi, this is Celine Dion. And he hung up on her because he thought it was a joke. Luckily, she called right back thinking they got cut off and said, I think we got cut off. Hi, this is Celine Dion. And he kind of got nervous and said, well, hi, Miss Dion, how can I help you? And she said, I need a water slide built in my backyard in Las Vegas. And he said, well, how'd you hear about me? And he showed up the top of Google. She typed in water slides. He came up. She called him. Flew him the same afternoon to Vegas. And he ended up building this in her backyard. You can Google it and see it. This is the backyard of Celine Dion. He built these water slides for her for $1 million. $1 million. So think about it. He just tweaked one little thing with his marketing message and went from selling a whole bunch of little $10, $5 water toys to a one client for $1 million. But that's not where it stops here. He went, John, I want to meet with you again. I want to build water parks. And John's like, you can do water parks? He goes, yeah, of all the vendors, I want to do that. About a month later, he calls John and he said, you're not going to believe this. I just got a $100 million contract in Dubai to build a water park in Dubai, India. So I'm just telling you guys, this is possible for you too. You just have to change your marketing message. You have to figure out who that ideal, most profitable customer is. All right. I like that story. I hope you like that story. I love that one. Okay, here's another example. Now I don't the outside. So okay, how many of you have read the 4 Hour Work Week? Okay, if you haven't, amazing book, probably sold 1 billion copies. I don't know. That's a really, really, really famous book by Timothy Ferriss. When he wrote this book, he actually called it something like, and I cannot find for the life of me what it was, but it was something along the line of outsourcing for dummies. He wrote the book and he made the title of the book about outsourcing, and nobody bought the book. Like it went nowhere. And then he figured out that people didn't want to buy they didn't want outsourcing. They wanted a 4 hour work week. That's what they really wanted. He changed the title only. The inside of the book was exactly the same. He just changed the title. And now look at him. He's one of the most famous authors in the world. I just love that one too. All right. Once you know who your ideal customer avatar is, you can easily determine where to find them. This is going back to let's think about what you're doing here on Alignable and in your business. Figure out who your customer is and then figure out where they are. You don't have to join every single social media platform. You don't have to join everything in the world. Figure out where that ideal customer is and go there. Okay. If your customers aren't on Pinterest, why are you there? If they're not on LinkedIn, why are you there? Figure out where they are. Okay. Here's a great example of this is this woman that I met in when I moved to Northern California. She's a professional organizer. She went by Donna Declutter. I love her. We became good friends. Well, she knew and figured out really fast that realtors were her absolute best referral partner. They would refer her all the time. And so she went to every single real estate networking event, every realtor association, everything realtor she would go to, and built relationships with every single realtor in Northern California. Super successful. So think about where they are. Okay, just to make sure you understand this, Alignable 360 can help you find all those customers. So this is why you have to get all of this right. And remember this middle column where once you get it right with those little blue tags, it's going to propagate here. And then you can look at your, at in your My Network page, and you can see like this lady Peggy that has all these things that match up. You can actually click view and you can actually look in her network and see if you can find some more of your ideal customers. Okay, finally, and we'll have plenty of time for questions here at the end. I don't know if any of you guys have met my good friend Fran Jessie, but she goes by Fran the Spice Lady. I love her to death. She's going to turn 81 this year, you guys. 81, and she is a massive serial entrepreneur. She's amazing. Anyway, I'm actually here to visit her this month. And she's just so much fun. Well, here's her story, and it's another one that you might want to think about. So I knew Fran a long time ago when I lived in Santa Clarita, where my friend Lagaya lived, where I had my school. And I met her there, and oh, we would go networking together. And every time I see her, she had a new business. She had a new product she was selling. She was doing all these different things. And one day she comes running up to me. Oh my God, Sue, I have it. I've got, first of all, she's super passionate and knowledgeable about spices and herbs. She knows every single spice and herb and what it does for your health. Like garlic is a good antibiotic. So when I was sick a long, long time ago, I never get sick. But when I got the one and only time I got COVID, she's like, garlic, garlic, garlic. You have to take that. So she is an expert in this. So she said, Sue, I figured something out. I created this product, and it's a blend of all these different spices that will help you be healthy, and you put them in your smoothies and it will help with health benefits. And she said and it said on the bag, and I wish I still had it here because I literally, she gave it to me and it just said smoothie spices for health benefits, and I was like, okay, I'm already healthy. I'm thinking in my head. And I went home and I put it in the cupboard and never even opened it because I didn't care. I'm already healthy. Why do I need these? And I don't drink smoothies. But then here's what happened. My dad got dementia. And I saw my dad and I got terrified that I was going to get it. I was scared to death. And I called her and said, I can't get this. What do I do? What am I going to do? I cannot end up like my dad. It was scary. I don't know if any of you know about any of that stuff, but it was scary. And you know what she did? She went, oh my gosh, Sue, I can create a blend of spices that will help with brain health. How many of those do you think I bought? A lot. So here's what happened then. She created all these different spice blends for different health benefits. Instead of just one that said, here, this will make you healthy, put it in your smoothie. Big deal. No, it didn't speak to anybody. But when my hair started breaking off and I was like, oh, what's going on with my hair? It's breaking off. And she goes, oh, I'll create one for your hair and skin. I'm like, oh, I'll buy some of those. And then here's the funny thing. My friend John, who I was telling you about, we were talking and I said, you know what I learned? I learned that one of the biggest search terms on YouTube is how to get rid of belly fat. Did you guys know that? Golf used to be number one. And then belly fat, people asking to figure out how to get rid of belly fat was number two. So guess what she did? She created belly fat spices. And then it just keeps going on from there. Like I was at my friend's house out here. She also lives about 30 minutes away, who's 87. And she said, I was telling her the story. I said, Fran's going to come over and telling the story about the spices and the belly fat. And she goes, and I said, one of her customers wrote a testimonial that he took the belly fat spices and it not only got rid of some of the belly fat, his size around his belly, but it helped him sleep better. And he, and she and my friend started crying and said, "Oh my God, could she please bring some of those? I have terrible insomnia. I really, really need those. I can't, I wake up at 2 in the morning." She was just, she literally was crying. And on top of that, her husband has diabetes. And as you can see up here, she has one for diabetes too. Do you see what I'm saying? All of these products, she created a different product for different health benefits, and she has all a different marketing message for every one of them. So the funny thing is she got so busy at making all these things and all these people contacted her that she decided to write a book about it instead so everybody can blend their own spices. So if you're interested, franthespicelady.com. She has this beautiful book. It's right by in my kitchen all the time. And she teaches people which one of those spices and herbs help with different health benefits, and people can blend their own spices or you can buy them from her. But anyway, I just love that story. And last but not least, I didn't really update this, but this is Alignable University Group for more events. And I don't know how many of you are in the insider community, but that's for any paid member on Alignable, verified premium or premium plus. We are doing some unbelievable events in there. And in fact, we started Alina Talks. Those are going to be May 15th. And I just realized that my friend Fran is going to do one of the talks. So you could come meet her. So I'm going to stop this share right now. Thank you guys all for still being here. I would love to answer your questions. Did anybody get anything out of that? Anybody's light bulb go off? Anybody? A little bit? Yes, good. Okay. What are your questions? Damien, go ahead.
All right. So, yeah. So this is a question I had because you mentioned and I like that you highlighted that you have to think about who your ideal customer is, right? When somebody says everyone, and I have
Yes,
to say that the most common people that I hear give me that answer are either in insurance agents, financial advisors, bookkeepers, and virtual assistants.
100%.
So, what would be your best advice for those people that have a
Oh,
tendency to make that kind of comment?
oh, I love this question so much. I'm going to give you Sherry Pedrioli's example. Okay. If you know Sherry Pedrioli, she's like an influencer here on Alignable and a good friend of mine. She owns a commercial plumbing company, very multi-million dollar commercial plumbing company. She was one day, she said, Sue, I got to find a new bookkeeper. And I said, oh, I know, you need to meet Rachel and this person and that person. She goes, nope. I want to meet a bookkeeper who is who specializes in helping contractors and commercial plumbing companies. And she found one that said, I specialize in this is what my niche is. I am an expert in helping people with this. And then one of our friends started doing that. Somebody's thing is
Oh,
saying,
I got two.
oh, is that yours? Okay. So did that help? Just niche it.
That's it. No, that's extremely useful. And I just thought, these are
Everybody.
the people that I commonly going to ask them who's your ideal customer, and that's the answer I get every single time. And so then I try to break it down, and you kind of said it. I think the same way in a different way, but I tell them, let's identify if you were to land a customer, which one is likely to give you the highest return on investment, and
Yes.
and then also think about, are are they going to be who keeps calling me, are you gonna are they easy to reach, or are they hardest to reach? So for example, right, like if I'm a insurance agent and I offer employee benefits, then I'm obviously going to say HR people, but they're the hardest people to reach, right? So I try to break it down to them in terms of like, okay, who's going to give you the greatest return on your investment, and it's going to be easy to book a meeting versus, you know,
Yeah.
they will give you the greatest return on investment, but they also might be the hardest one to try to get into a meeting. And even if you finally do get that meeting, it's going to be a very long sales process.
Yeah. So here's another thing on top of that. This is why I always say Alignable, when you come on Alignable, is think not customers, but referral partners. So you think who knows all of those HR people or all of those contractors or whatever, who is somebody that knows those people and figure out who that referral partner can be, right? So that's another good one too. Who knows those people? Like if I wanted to meet, I'm just making this up on the spot, but let's say I want to get in front of small business owners and I meet a bookkeeper that they love working with specific type of small business owners, then I would work something out with them where we would be referral partners for each other. Now someone's trying to call me. Rynette, go ahead, ask your question.
Okay, hi there. Am I muted? Can you
Oh,
hear me?
there we go. You cut out for a second.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Um, I am in the electric business. So anybody that pays for electricity is a potential customer. So I guess
So
I
you
realize
mean,
not everybody wants everything. I used to do Mary Kay. So something like that, how would I really find my most profitable customer
so
or ideal
someone
profitable ideal customer?
for electricity?
I'm sorry.
For electricity?
Yeah, anybody
Okay.
that pays, for anyone that pays an electric bill
Okay. Well, you've
is
got
what
to
I'm
figure.
looking for.
So
I
I
can
would Yes. So, I mean, I would think of the people that have really big electric bills, like maybe commercial buildings or like that, or people
dry
in,
cleaners. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you can have different marketing messages for different things, but you just, here's what I'm going to tell you guys. Because you probably all have the same question with whatever yours is. Go to ChatGPT, say, this is what I do. This is my business. This is what I do. Give it as much information as you can, or talk to someone like Joe Moore, somebody that's really good with with the prompts, and say, who would be my most profitable customer? Who is going to be the easiest customer to go after? And what would be good marketing messages for them? Right. So you got to figure out what's important.
Okay.
Sorry, somebody. Okay. So anybody else have a question to go along with that? I do want to tell this quick one because I had somebody ask me this. I'm just going to, until someone raises their hand. There's a lady that she's an artist and she came on this event once and she said, well, I do art. I don't know, how am I supposed to figure out my ideal customer? I said, well, okay, let's look at all the different kind of art you do. Pick one that you make the most profit on. And she goes, oh, I make these particular wood carving art, some kind of wood art. And I said, well, who buys those? She goes, veterans. They were some kind of art that veterans loved. I said, why aren't you just going to all the veterans associations? And there's tons of places where you can find veterans, you know? And she's like, oh, and I said, yeah, why don't you just promote that? You know, of course, art is like anybody could like different kinds of art, but that particular thing. And then the other one, I wanted to make sure I told you this story because this affected me. I was in this place a long time ago when I was moved to Northern California. I started doing websites and I was in kind of a crazy time in my life. I had lost everything through the sale of a business, long story. But I started going, well, I love doing websites and so I'm going to do them I want to help the people that can't afford to do the websites. I'm just going to do websites for $500. And I would end up spending hours and hours and hours, but I would just say, anybody need a website? And almost anybody would pay me $500 to a website. And then one day, this girl, she was a lady who I met, and she was like, I don't know, late 50s, and she'd been in corporate for many years, and she was single, and she had a lot of money, and she wanted to get out of corporate, and she wanted to start a business, but she had a nice nest egg, and so she had money to spend on anything, and she didn't know one thing about business, so she was a great client. And she said, I need a website. I don't know anything about this stuff. And I said, oh, I could do your website. And so we talked and I told her what I could do. And she goes, well, what do I write the check for? And I said, 2,500. She went, that's all. And she wrote me a check. And then right after that, I'm like, wow. And I met like 4 or 5 other women, almost identical target. Like they were all starting a business. They wanted to get out of corporate. It was that time of in their lives, and they were all were very similar to that, and they all paid me $2,500 for a website. It was amazing. So I just totally changed it changed everything for me. So any other questions? Go ahead, Stephanie.
Can you touch more on the referral partners as far as like how to make sure you're getting the correct ones for yourself?
The best thing to do, again, you can ask ChatGPT things like this, but it's kind of like, well, I mean, Lagaya is one of the best. Oh, here's another example. What's your niche, by the way? What's your category business?
I'm an accountant.
Oh, accounting. Okay, yeah. So again, if you can think of a niche that you're going to go after, like contractors they have money, they will find somebody that does it, whatever it is, and go to maybe people that run contractors associations. Associations are great, like this one. When I moved to Northern California, I don't know if you guys know this, but they grow all the stuff that makes CBD cream and hemp oils and all that kind of stuff. They make all that stuff. And so everybody I met at these networking events were selling little bottles of CBD cream, right? Everybody. And they'd come up to me and they'd say, Sue, you got to buy my CBD cream. It'll help with your pain. And I'm like, I'm not in pain. I'm not your ideal customer at all. I'm not going to buy that. But the smart ones would come up to me and say, Sue, I have the CBD cream. It helps with back and shoulder pain. Do you know any chiropractors you can introduce me to? And it was like, absolutely. I have 4 or 5 of them right here, and there's one right over there in the corner. I'll introduce you to them right now. So if you can just figure out who knows the people that you want to meet and build the relationship with them. So, and again, use ChatGPT, you guys, for everything. You can do that. Just make sure you can describe exactly your business and do some, or find somebody to help you. There's a lot of people that can help with that, or it's pretty simple. In fact, my friend Fran, the spice lady, she's actually a genius at ChatGPT. You can reach out to her, she'll help you. So what else? What other questions you got? Was this helpful? I hope. Okay, Prem, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Sue, for the wonderful session. I think you're recording this session. Can we get a copy of this session?
I will. Yes, actually, I can send a replay, but if you go to the Alignable University group, there's a replay of the past one of these. I'll probably replace it with this one because I added some new stuff, but yeah, it'll be on that Alignable University page, and I'll try to remember, I'll send out an email to everybody with the link to the replay.
And can you put that Alignable University link?
Alignable
If-
University group. Here, let me just give you guys some
Yeah,
links.
that way we can just click on and get the copy.
Yeah, let me just give you these copy. Let me put this, I'll put it in the chat right here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Because
in-
I was struggling with the same, like who could be my partner, and every time I somebody asked, we were all fumbling, and now you gave the great clue of asking ChatGPT, and I'm sure ChatGPT has all the answers, and also like how to communicate, right? How to find your ideal customer, right? And I'm an insurance agent, and I always say anybody and everybody, and then that puts everybody off, right?
It's just, oh,
Because
it's so
anybody and
hard.
everybody needs insurance, but who are the actual one who actually buys it, right?
Yes.
And then you go after them, and not anybody and everybody. And if you try to convince anybody and everybody, you don't make anything.
Exactly. I got to tell you guys one other thing. And in the
Sure.
chat, by the way, I put the Alignable University group link and the Alignable Insider community. That's the members only group that we're doing amazing things in there. I'm actually, it just reminded me while you guys were talking, I'm going to ask my friend John, who is Internet Dominators. You can find him on Alignable. I'm going to have him come into the Alignable Insider community and do a training in there because the guy's like the most brilliant guy I've ever met in my life. So, but I'm going to have you walk away with this thought. And he told me the story too. And I tell this to everyone, especially when I was doing websites. And realtors are a great example of doing things wrong. I hate to say that. They do a lot of things right, like put their pictures on business cards and everything. That's a good thing that they do. But here's an issue that a lot of realtors make, and a lot of just people, if you can just kind of put it into your business. Think about this. Let's say you're going to sell your house and it's kind of a dumpy house. Okay, but you want to sell it and you want to make as much money as you can on this house. And you go, here's what realtors do. They'll put up their website and they'll say, I can buy or sell, you can use me to help you find a house or to sell your house. And on the same page, they'll wait, I can help you sell your dumpy little house for the most amount of money, or I can help you buy the best house on the market for a little bit of money. Just think about that. If someone went to the realtor site and they went, I want to sell my big mansion that's beautiful, but it says on there that he's going to help people buy a big mansion for just a little bit of, for like the least amount of money, they're going to walk away in 2 seconds. So your website should be, if you want to buy a house, click here. Click this big button. You want to sell a house, click here. Click that button. And then when they click whichever button, it goes and only speaks to whatever. If you're selling a house and they click, I want to sell a house, you only have a website about selling a house, okay? Selling their house, all the stuff that you're going to do to help them. And the same with the buying a house. So think about on your websites, this is just a little aside thing, but if you're selling different stuff, and I know a lot of people have different products and services, go to the website and say, do you want do you want family time back? You know, I had an after school program, a summer camp, a tutoring program. I had different ones. And then on my site, it was like, are you just looking for a math tutor? Click here. Are you looking for an after school program? Click here. Are you looking for that? So just be really, really careful in thinking how you're segmenting your audiences and your marketing messages to speak to those people. Does that make sense to you? Yeah? Okay. Cool. All right. Well, if you guys want me to invite you to an event, I'm gonna contact my friend John right away. In fact, I'm going to an event with him right now, and I'm gonna see if he'll do one, and I'll invite you guys all to that.
Thank you.
So I hope I helped. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yay. Okay. Thank you guys all for being here. I hope to see you at another event, and doing a lot of new ones coming up. So hope to see you soon. Have a good
Thank
one.
you. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Good job,
You too.
Sue.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you.